Hi, welcome.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. I'm glad. I was waiting in the wrong Zoom room at one point. So I'm glad you showed up because I'm like, oh no, am I in the wrong room again? Okay, so we'll wait here in just a moment.
Okay.
I'm checking out the different views. All right, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah.
And then how do you pronounce your name? Is it Minnie or would you go by?
Minnie, yeah.
Minnie. Okay. Very
Yeah.
good. Okay, we'll wait just a couple more minutes here and then I will just get started.
Okay. Where's everybody? What's wrong with them?
I know. That's why I was like, oh no, did I get in? Because I was in my normal Zoom room. It showed two different rooms.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was like, oh, maybe I'm in the wrong one.
Uh-oh.
But somebody came on yesterday thinking the event was yesterday.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, I just clicked on the email you sent today.
okay, perfect. All right. This is good.
Hmm.
Okay. I Okay, there we go. Welcome. Okay, so we're waiting just here for a couple of minutes. So I have Minnie and Shawana. Hi, Shawana.
Hmm. No sound.
Oh, her sound's not here yet.
Okay. Are you in Hawaii?
I am actually in Los Angeles now.
Oh, okay. You
I used
moved.
to be in Hawaii though.
Yeah.
Are you in Hawaii?
No, I'm in Austin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I still go back and forth from Hawaii because I have a lot of family and friends out there.
Oh, okay. I only visited Maui and I loved it. It was beautiful.
Maui is my favorite island.
Oh, it's gorgeous. My God.
It really is. Perfect. Shawana, you can hear us? Is your audio in? I think you're on mute, but I see chats here. Yes, okay, perfect. All right, great. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So today's topic is essential elements to strategic networking. And so I wanted to actually do some conversations on this one because I noticed in a couple of networking meetings that I've been to that there's elements that have been missing and people, they're not the same that they used to be. When I first started my business, I started my business about 20 years ago. I used to go to so many networking meetings, and networking meetings was the thing in which how you met people. I mean, the online world wasn't as it is today. So it's kind of a different experience. But now it's like, it feels like a lot of it's like we're kind of going back to that networking experience because it's like the low touch of the internet where people are doing so much online programs and ways to market in which to draw on people, which is great because it reaches a wider area. We go international and there's all these things that can happen that we couldn't reach, let's say, in our own backyard. But I'm still finding that a lot of my clients are getting most of their clients when it's been more high touch, when it's been more face-to-face kind of toe-to-toe networking, or they've been speaking. And so speaking and networking seems to have a higher conversion when it comes to getting clients. It's usually around 30%, which is pretty high, versus internet, which is mainly putting out programs and all that kind of stuff and getting people here. So networking is still really key in getting clients. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that I've found in the strategies that work, that make networking really fun. So there's 4 important steps that I find to strategic networking. And the reason why I'm calling it strategic networking is because it's different than just getting out there and meeting people. I'm so used to the meetings when I go to, let's say, an event where it's kind of like a networking event, or it's kind of centered around a training. It's like a lot of people are scrambling to give their cards and, oh, buy my business, buy my business. And I rarely see people connecting at a different level. And so I started to try some different techniques that I learned from my business coaches on how to really make my networking experiences more effective, but also worth my time. Because there's nothing worse than spending 3 hours in an event that you have to drive to, especially being in LA. It's like traffic, where it doesn't feel, it's like you come back and it's like, oh, like that was cool, but there's like no leads. You didn't really meet anybody. Or it's just, it was kind of in that experience where the energy, everybody was, like I said, was scrambling to try to meet other people. So one of the things I wanted to talk about that's really key. So the 4 important steps that I think to strategic networking, I don't know why I can't stay strategic today, is that it's really important that the biggest thing I find with networking, the best way to do things is to go with the intention of connecting with people, to connect with potential clients. Don't go in thinking I'm going to sell, like I have to sell. What I have found that when people are in these networking meetings, everybody's trying to sell everybody. And it's kind of this push where people kind of tune out. It's people aren't quite connecting. People are waiting, how can I position myself and say what my business is to kind of pull them in. And so when you go with the intention just to connect, just to get to know people, that really changes how you're showing up in the energy so that people they don't have their guard up. Also, what I found that's really effective is you want to listen deeply and learn what problems that you can solve and how you can assist your clients. And so what I mean here is, so when you're going out there and you're connecting with people, like when, let's say I meet somebody in front of me, I'm going in to hear, what are they doing? What's going on? What's their business? What problems are they trying to solve? You know, usually it's needing more clients or just, but I'm listening. And so what do they think the issues are? So I'm having a conversation, not so much so that I can say, okay, you need my services and I'll help you, but it's to kind of hear more about what it is that they're up to, what they're trying to create, what are their goals in their business? Have they reached their goals? Where would they like to be in 1 year? Where would they like to be in 5 years? And so these are the things I'm interested in hearing because I'm connecting. And so you really want to listen for, how can I assist? And when I'm finding this information about people, what I find is that I can hear for, okay, how can I help them? So it's just having a conversation and connecting with them at a deeper level, at a different level. And then when I can hear kind of like, okay, so I'm a business coach, I'm a strategist. A lot of times, like I can pretty much talk to anyone and find, you know, a connection or find a problem that I can solve based on what it is that they're dealing with in their business, or what problems are they solving, whether it's they want to meet more clients, or they need to hire a team, or they need to find strategic collaborations. Like I'm just listening for that. And then what I'll do, instead of saying, okay, hey, I'm trying to pull a business card I can use, here's a card. And so when I give them my card, how I go about it is say, you know, I know there's a lot of people here, like after I've talked to them for about 5 or 10 minutes, I want to give you my card and I want to set up a call for later, because I have some solutions. I have some ideas for you for your business that I'd love to share with you. And I know there's a lot of people that we want to meet, or that you want to meet to get around, but so here's my card and let's book a time to talk. And so I find that that is more effective when I'm telling people, okay, hey, let's book a call and talk later, and I have some ideas for you that I want to share. They're more open to, as opposed to, hey, call me, I can solve your problem. I already have, you know, I feel like if you hire me, I'll be able to change this. It's a little different, as opposed to, okay, listen, you talked about how you're having some issues with finding clients. I have a couple of ideas in it. And sometimes they want to hear a little bit about it. I have some ideas of where you can meet your ideal clients, and I want to share, you know, let's talk later. And the best way to do it is pick up your phone and book a time, like later. So when you're meeting with that person, it's like, hey, here's my card. Let's book a time so we can talk outside of this event, where we can have a conversation so that I can share. It'll be a little bit easier. We're not around all these people. And then we'll be able to give you some solutions to your problem. So that's a big thing. So first you want to go in and connect with people. You want to listen deeply and listen for what problem that you can solve, because you're a business, you're trying to network. So you want to hear, how can I solve your problem? 3, you want to book a call for later. So you don't want to try to solve their solutions right there, because right after they're done talking with you, they're on to the next person. And so the energy at networking events is so constant. It's really hard. And then people kind of forget after they talk to 10 people what this conversation was. And then the 4th key, follow up. One of the things that I learned, and some of you have probably heard me say this before, 80% of the business, 80% of sales is in the follow-up. People don't realize that. They think if I didn't book a sale right there in that meeting, and you know, in a networking meeting, you know, usually there's an event, they're talking about 5 different things, and then you're given like maybe an hour to network. It's really tough when there's 50 people there to really sell a business. And so you have to, when you get the card, what I do is take notes like, okay, this person has an issue with trying to find clients, or they're looking for a team. Like I will write on the card what it is so that I can remember, so that when I follow up with them, when I have that call later, it's like, hey, I met you at this networking event. I remember I told you I had some solutions. I remember your problem was that you needed to find more clients. And so here's a couple of things that I thought of. And so this is then where you can turn that into a sales call. And so the key thing is you don't want to sell the client right there in that meeting. You want to book it later, have another conversation to remind them of who you are and how well you listen, because people are really shocked too that I can't believe you remembered that. And this is why it's super important that when you're trying to book sales, because one of the things that entrepreneurs forget is that we want to give our services. We love giving our services, especially solopreneurs. It's like, this is why we do this. But the biggest part of how we make money is in the sales. We have to sell. And so a big part of the sales, like I said, if the leads that you get face-to-face are more effective and turnover and more warm than, let's say, the internet or Facebook or Instagram, it's like you really want to capitalize that. And the best way of doing that is getting a CRM. A CRM is a customer relationship management based system. It's software that you can purchase. Do any of you know what a CRM is, or do you know what a CRM is?
Is it like a database type thing?
Yeah, it is like a database. And I'm telling you, when I got a CRM, it changed my life as far as my sales and tracking. And so it's a sales database. They're super easy. There's a bunch of really low cost CRMs. You usually can get one. There's usually one that can be attached onto your email group. So if you, let's say, use MailChimp or eWeber, or I use Active Campaigns, or even the Infusion software, a lot of them have CRMs attached to it. So you can add it on for an extra service, or you can pay for a really low cost one. There's like lessannoying.com. There's like Something Sweet. There's so many different types. If you type in CRM on Google, check them out, and they'll start anywhere from $9 to $10 a month. And what it is it's basically a database. It's not like Outlook, but it's a database where every time you meet somebody, you get a business card. You put the information in, and it gives you the ability to put notes, like where you met them. You can categorize them. If you've met all these people at this event, you can then put them in one place. And then it tracks, you can put notes in for each call. So I talked to them on this day. They said that their issue is this. And so it helps you kind of track it, especially if you are dealing with 10 to 20 calls. You want to be able to remember where everybody is in their point, and then the work that you've done as far as being able to contact them. A CRM is key. So if you don't know what a CRM is, or if you don't feel comfortable purchasing one, get an Excel spreadsheet, use an Excel thing, track it down, and find a way in which you can track these conversations, track who you're talking to, what the conversation was about, when you spoke to them. Because a lot of times if people say, oh, you know what, let's talk again in a week, let me think about what you're offering, you want to be able to put a note in there saying, okay, call them in 1 week. A CRM will allow you to set the timer so that it will remind you in a week, call this person. And so you really want to have a system in place. That is the biggest part, is the system to track potential customers. Because if 80% of sales is in the follow-up, and if you don't have a follow-up system, it's like there's so many potential monies falling through the crack. And as one person said, a business card could be worth $2,000, right? If you think about what's your medium program, if it's anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000, like if you look at a medium program, each business card that you have is worth that potential, is worth money. So if you're not following up on these leads, that's money you're leaving on the table. So it's really important to make sure that you connect. And even just people you meet in the supermarket, just even potential clients, even former clients, the CRMs are good to be able to track all clients. And so it's super, super important to do that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is that there's some keys to strategic networking. And so why like I said, why I call it strategic networking is it's about a strategy. You really want to come in with a strategy with an intention so that you're able to book these calls, make leads. Because if you figure, if you're pretty good in your conversions, like I don't know if you know what your conversions are, and that's based on how many people you've talked to. Let's say you've talked to 5 people. How many of those do you turn into actual clients? And so that kind of gives you an idea of your conversion. So if I talk to 5 people and I can turn around 1 client, then that means I have a 20% conversion. And so that means every time I get a call, with every 5 calls, I can let a client. You want to start to track that and get to know, and that this will help you. How good are your sales? How good are you tracking? Are people getting value? And so when you have this CRM and you're able to put the systems and put this information in, this will help you to be able to know where you need to scale up. Because sometimes it might be how you're selling. Other times it might be how you're qualifying your leads. If you have somebody that you've gotten a card from and they're a real potential customer, you want to make sure you're able to qualify them. And this will help you, like when I talked about the 4 important steps of strategic marketing, this is where you want to listen for. So when you're listening deeply and you're wanting to hear what problem you can solve, if you're not able to hear there's a problem that you can solve, or if they have problems that you can't solve, then that's not a qualified lead. And so you want to use that time when you're networking to get clear about, is this a client that I could actually help? Could I work with them? Or are they an opening or a potential for more clients? Some of my best leads, like people that were able to find me clients, I had a friend who was a masseuse. She did massages. And I had another friend who did nails. And they were the best leads for me because in their conversations with clients, when they had that time massaging or doing their nails, they were able to hang out and talk about so many different things. And they would say, hey, you know what, you should contact my friend. And so through that, I was able to get leads. But the cool thing is I kept their information when I met them. I knew that they were a good lead. And sometimes with the marketing, I was able to work with them and say, okay, let me give you a couple of sample sessions. So, because I know that if coaching's not right for you, I want you to experience what I'm doing so that you may have other people that you know that could be a good fit. And it worked out great. One of my best leads also was a bank manager. I had worked out a great deal with him because he had a lot of people opening new business accounts. And so we had a great connection where I would help and support them with growing their business. And so look for ways that if the person in front of you may not be a client, look at how they could be a connection to other clients or how they can open it up. And then you can create strategic alliances. And so in these cool things with the bank, when I had a great deal with him, I provided him with free sample sessions that he could give to each of his clients. And so it was a great trade-off. And then in return for him opening up leads to me, I was providing him with coaching. And so you can look at ways in which you can create these strategic alliances. And a lot of this happens through the networking, through the people you're meeting. So it can be really valuable, especially if you take the time to connect. So you listen to what problem you have, what you can solve, the problem that they have. You share, okay, I'd love to share some ideas. I can solve your problem. Let's talk later. I'm available Tuesday at 3. Are you available? So you want to find a time to have a call with them later, or even have lunch, depending upon, or coffee, depending upon how strong the lead is and where they are in your network. You want to be able to track them with CRMs. And then you want to follow up. Like I said, that is the #1 networking mistake that people make, is they get all these cards, they put them away, and then they don't remember where they got them from. And so, like I said, I put notes on the cards. Not only do I put what the problem is that I can solve, or I feel how I can help them, I will also put them where I met them. And so that'll help me in case I do lose track of them and find them later. It's like, oh, okay, I remember them. And then sometimes if it's a big networking event and I've met so many people, I'll even put a reminder there for me. Like if their card doesn't have a picture, I'll put something on there like, oh, they had the red hat. Something that I can remember. Okay, I remember them. And then that way when I have that conversation, sometimes they're like, wait, who are you? I remember, oh, I'm the one that, this, and I remember you had a red hat and that we were talking about this. And so this will really help with being able to strengthen up their trust in you, that you're really listening and that there's something that you can help them with. So any questions so far? I know I've thrown a bunch of things, but I wanted to get a bunch of these things out there because I think it's so important, especially when it comes to strategic networking. Any questions?
Nope, not for me.
All right, awesome. So one of the things that's really important is how to spot qualified leads. So when you go to events, you want to go to the ones where your ideal clients hang out. And I say this because a lot of times people will go to networking. I used to go to a lot of networking events, like all the time. And there used to be, some of them, they were different. Some of them met once a week. Some of them met once a month. Some of them were lunches. Some of them were dinners. Some of them had a training involved. And then the first part was somebody training us on something or a topic. And then the rest was networking. Some was just pure networking, like it could be speed networking. So there's so many different types of events. So you want to find the one that kind of works with you and where you can connect, especially when there's a lot of people. Like I said, the strategy to connect with them, get their information, and then schedule to talk with them later. It can be really effective when there's a lot of people there. Also, so you want to go to where your ideal clients hang out. And a cool way to do this is to go on the internet and start to look at, okay, in your area, where are there networking events, first off? And then when you start to do that Google search, you start to find the different places. Even Eventbrite is a great place to look at where are events happening and where might they be. If I have a particular client, if my client is, let's say I need a high net worth client, a small business owner, then I would want to go to, let's say, like Chamber of Commerce events, or I would want to go to events where I know people that can afford, because coaching is a luxury item, right? It's expendable income. And so I want to go and meet with my, small business, my bank, my local bank, to see if they have leads. Like, find out where you can go, where you can get in front of people that are truly your ideal client. And so a lot of times people miss doing that, or they want to get to the event. And I mean, there's always a potential to meet a client. I mean, I even got a client once at the grocery store. Like, I was looking for something and they're like, oh, you seem so happy. Like, what is it? Like, what do you do? And it just became a conversation. And then it was like, next thing you know, we exchanged cards and they hired me. My bank manager, I went into the bank just to get information on opening a checking account, a business checking account. And he was asking me, well, what's your business? And I'm like, oh, I do professional coaching. And I needed to get a new account. And it was like, oh, I just moved here. I need a coach. I mean, it just started that way. And that's a great way and that was the contact that I had that really helped my business grow. So you want to make sure you're positioning yourself, because any opportunity is an opportunity for a client. So always remember that. Always have your cards handy too, because anytime you're listening for how you can help people, there's always like, hey, I have, just in a regular conversation, like I said at the bank, when I was talking to the guy, it's like, oh, I have a coach. I'm like, oh, well, I'm taking clients. So what kind of support do you need? There's always that opportunity to be ready to listen for. And he was telling me, oh, I'm trying to transition from Texas to Los Angeles. And so through that, I was like, I can really help you. I can really help you be more strategic. I can help you with the bank. And it became a really great relationship. I was able to do their conference. I did a lot of work with the bank's clusters throughout the area, and it was just great. And so you just never know what can open up. So always be ready for that possibility. Also, we talked about just listening, really listening for, instead of going into it like, oh, here's what I do, hire me. Listen for, okay, how can I help you? And there's something about that really helps people open up if they really, it's like, so I'm hearing, so the problem you're having is you're not able to find your clients. Like, what's the work you do? Where have you been going? Like I'm naturally curious to hear more about what it is that they're up to. And usually in these kind of events, people are open because we're at a networking event. It may be hard to get somebody to open up like this at the grocery store. It just depends. But it's really good to really be curious, to really genuinely want to hear like what they're up to. And then from that, sometimes I'll hear like, oh, they're not a potential client. They're trying to sell me. And it's like, okay, so then I can see that this is not a lead. But it's a great connection. Maybe we can do something in the future together. Let's connect. And I want to hear more about your business and ways in which we can work together. So it may not be a lead in which they'll hire me, but it could be a lead on how to work together and to open up possibilities between our communities. Like I said, set up the call. You want to do it on the phone. Try to do it right there. If you're not able to do it, you want to be able to call them later. The biggest thing is don't email. Like when you meet people and they're real potential leads and there's the possibility of actual business, a lot of people will email. And the problem with email, we all get so much spam, we get so much stuff in our email, sometimes we miss stuff. When somebody actually picks up the phone and actually calls me just to say, hey, I met you at this event, I just wanted to set up a time for us to talk, I wanted to hear more about your business and what you're up to. Usually that's how people will approach me. it's much easier for me to follow up when it's on a phone call versus an email, because emails, I get like 100 emails a day, like I'm sure all of you do. And so it's really great that when you call people, that really causes them to call you back, even if they don't remember, like, where did I meet you? It's like, oh yeah, I met you at this event. We were talking about this. And that's where your notes, when you write your notes, can help you. CRM, we talked about that. So you got to definitely look that up or come up with a system. System tracking is huge, especially not even with potential clients, but even with your current clients. A CRM can really good, or even former clients. I always try to connect in with former clients to see what they're up to every so often, to say, hey, I'm checking in to see how it's going. And then sometimes, I just want to hear how coaching served them in the past, or get a testimony, whatever it is, to connect or see what they're up to now. One thing about coaching is there's always something else you can resolve. There's always a new problem, even when you grow and get to next level, more money, more problems, more clients, more problems. And so I'm always listening for, okay, and then plus, if it's been clients I haven't spoken to in a few years, like I'm constantly growing. I'm constantly taking educational classes. I spend thousands of dollars to skill up in my coaching continuously, because things are changing. Back when I was networking 20 years ago, we didn't have Facebook. We did not have Instagram. None of that existed. It was just a good old fashioned, here's your business card, let's exchange, let's meet. So these are the great ways to help you just to connect and to grow, and to be able to tell your clients, hey, I have so many new things that I'm up to. I wanted to share them with you to see if you, or if you know of somebody who might be interested in. That's a great way to stay connected and stay relevant. Because one of the things about this world right now, there's so many different things happening, so many options. I mean, there's like 500 boxes of Cheerios. When I was growing up, there was one. Plain Cheerios, and then Honey Nut Cheerios came out. And then it was like, okay, now there's like, I don't know, there's so many I can't even tell you. But it's like there's so many options, and so there's always something new. So it's really good to go back and reconnect with old clients, just checking in to see how you're doing. If you have a service, or if you have a product, or your brick and mortar, hey, I'm checking to see when you purchased, this item back in September, how did it go? Or I know you bought this last year. Did you like it? I wanted to check in and see if there was any way I can help you now. We have some new items now in our store, or new packages or services that I'm offering that I thought you might be interested in. This is a great way. That's why CRM is really great for that too, is you put in all of even your past clients, you can track what they bought, what services they had, so that when you have something new that you feel might be of service to them, you can then go back. And it's like, because there's so much, and so many of us feel like a number with all of the different people and all of the different systems and the stuff that's out there, it's really nice when somebody can call you and say, hey, I know you bought my book. I was checking to see, did you read it? And if you had any questions, when you bought it in August, like, people really appreciate that when you remember those details. So the do's and don'ts, we're talking a little bit more about that. So don't try to sell people something at the event unless you're the keynote speaker or the teacher. Obviously sometimes you're selling your books or whatever afterwards, but you want to try to steer away from that unless a client is like, I need your services, unless it just naturally goes that way. You want to pick up the phone and call people. It's not just about email. And then there's a system. When you're calling people, there's a system you want to do. And this is why the CRM is really good, or some sort of tracking. When you've met somebody and they connected, you feel like, okay, I'm going to talk to you. I have a great lead for you. There's a system to call people. So you want to call them. And if they don't answer, hang up the phone, call again the next day. And if they don't answer, call them again. The system is you don't leave a message until about the third or fourth call to leave a message, because you want to get them on the phone. When you get somebody on the phone, it's easier to connect. It's easier, even if they can't speak now, let's schedule time to speak. When can you speak? If you're not available right now. It just makes things so much more easier and more efficient to really kind of be able to lock in people, because people are so busy. They're doing so much, and it's not about hounding them or chasing them. It's just really being able to, let's create a time. I have some valuable information and resources I wanted to give to you. And so I want to be able to do it when you have enough time for us to talk. One thing too, that I tell a lot of my clients that are in business is to try to get out of the elevator pitch mode. Like, you don't want to go into I do this because I sell this because of that. It's like, we talked a little bit about that on the last call, the strategies of which you can really create your positioning statement in a way that really can speak to the listening of the person. And that's why it's important to really listen. So what I do when I'm at networking events, I try to hear what they're about and what they're doing first before I share what I'm doing or what I'm selling. because I really want to hear who they are, what they're about. And then that helps me to be able to articulate my services in a way that really speaks to listening. And this is not about manipulation or trying to corner them. It's like, I want to understand, well, what are they doing? What are they up to? And do I have a problem that I can solve? Because instead of saying I'm a coach, a business coach who works with entrepreneur women to make more money in their business, it just gets kind of like, oh, okay, cool. But when I can listen to what it is that you're doing and what you're about, then it's like, okay, so what do you do? Well, so I'm a coach, I'm a strategist. And so what I do is I help people come up with strategies to grow their business. I help people find places where there's money, where they can make money in their business. And I help pull them out and give them a plan so that they can create 6 figures in their business. And I'm able to actually speak directly to you. So like when you were sharing that you found it really hard you're not finding yourself in positions where their people can afford your services. I have I would help you come up with a strategy. So I would speak to their issue. I'll help them come up with a strategy and how they can start to position themselves where they're meeting people that are their ideal clients. And they're able to then sell their services in a more effective and efficient manner. And so this helps me to be able to formulate and be clear about speaking about what I do. Because coaching, and like other consultants and other kind of solopreneurs, sometimes it's really difficult to share. And even if you were like, let's say a designer, so pretty much a designer is, let's say a house designer. So you can come in and you do that. I mean, you could still have an elevator pitch, but you can still be directed. So if you talk to somebody and say, okay, so do you love the office? So let's say I'm a designer. So I go in. How I would speak to somebody about that, because some people think, well, how can you speak to the listening from a service like that? Well, first I'm going to find out, do they have a problem I can solve? Like, do they love their office space? Do they love their home space? Do they feel like they're, how do they want to feel? And so I'll ask those kind of questions when I'm hearing about them, when we're talking about what they're doing. And then as a designer, let's say if I was a designer, then I would speak to, so I would help you create an office space that you love, that you feel at home in, that is vibrant and that just basically radiates your essence or your values, or that helps people feel comfortable. Like I'm able to speak to what it is that I think the problem I'm solving for them. And so it's really key on being able to hear what it is that they're up to first. The other thing that I tell people too, when they're out there strategically networking, is that you got to keep things really simple. As a coach, I have a million things I could be doing. I do individual coaching. I run groups. I teach. I'm a coach trainer. I train people to be coaches. I'm a mentor coach for ICF. I even will consult. I do corporate coaching. I work in organizations. So there's so many things. But if I told you all those things that I did, it can get confusing. And so one of the things that is really clear is the confused mind does not buy. They won't purchase things. And so it's really important that even if you are selling multiple things, to pick one, keep it simple, and then see if that's a service. So when you're hearing about what it is, the problem you could solve, think about, okay, I think that they would be really good for individual coaching. And then stick to that. So one of the offers or one of the suggestions that I have is individual coaching. You can really support you with being able to grow your business, because it sounds like you've got lots of different moving parts and lots of things. And I don't want to give you a cookie cutter, strategy. It feels like we need to do a little bit more strategic. We have more strategy to really meet all of the demands that you have. So I'm able to kind of speak to that, right? And so you want to keep it simple, as opposed to, well, I have my individual coaching. You could also join my program, or we can do group coaching. When it's too much, they just kind of zone out. One of the things that was really interesting is I found this study in a grocery store, and this grocery store was selling jams. It was a major grocery store. And so what they did is they had 2 jams out that they tested, that they let people test. And so people got to choose from 2. So what they found is that 30%, or they sold 60% of the jams when they only had 2 out. People tested less, but they bought 60% of the jams, right? The next week, they had, I think it was 22 different jams. So they put out, I think they said about 16 different jams for people to try. So 70% of the people try the jams, right? A lot of people were testing them, but only 30% bought. And so what the supermarket was saying was that they noticed that when they give people too many options, yeah, there's movement, people were engaged, they went through so many jars of jam that people tried, but not very many people bought. But when they kept it simple and they gave out 2 options, even though less people tried, more people bought. I thought that was really interesting, but that kind of goes back to the confused mind. Because if you're trying so many different things and it just becomes a little chaotic, sometimes it's like, oh my God, I need to think about this and I'll get back to you. And then of course, then they're on to the next thing. And so it's like people's attention span, especially with the way that things are now with the marketing, there's so many things happening here and shiny coins. It's like you really want to be able to keep your offers simple, to the point, make one thing if you can. And sometimes like if I offer my group coaching, like my individual coaching, and somebody's like, okay, well, I don't know. Or if I maybe don't have enough money, then I'll maybe go into, okay, well then there's a group program that would be the next best thing. So that you can get started to start growing your business until you're able to then pay for the individual coaching, but at least you'll still get what you need. You'll be able to pull what you can. And so then that's why it's keeping it simple as opposed to giving them it all at once. So keep things clean, keep things simple, because a confused mind does not buy. And so that way you can be able to sell your service in a way that's clear, that's simple for them. Okay, so any questions about that?
I'm good.
Okay, good. So I wanted to hear from both of you. How have your experiences been with networking groups, and have you been to any? You know, how have you found them?
This is Minnie. I used to go to networking groups, and I haven't been to in the last 2.5 years, to be honest, because I got disappointed because it was mainly people, you know, wanting you to do business with them, but none of them showed interest of even meeting with me to talk about referrals or creating a friendship or an acquaintance. It was like once they knew you weren't, at the moment at least, because things change, ready to work with them, then they just went on to the next. So I kept going, and every time I went, I was just feeling totally frustrated. So I stopped going.
Yeah, and then what is your business?
I'm a fashion consultant.
Okay, fashion consultant.
Yeah.
I remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally remember. And so, and I can see that too. And so what's cool about your business is that you can actually, like what you wear and how you present matters, right? Because then you obviously want to present yourself in a way where people are like, oh, wow, you're like the best dressed in here. Oh, well, great, because I can help you. You know?
Yeah. And at the same time, when you say, it was hard for me to say, I can help you, because then you think, oh my God, are they offended if I would say that?
Right. I was just going to say that. So yours is kind of that business where
it's kind of tricky.
Yeah, it's like you have to, there's a way that you've got to give feedback, right? So you're like, okay, you look really frumpy, and I can help you. It's like you could really give feedback in a way where it's like, listen, don't you want to be the best dressed person when you walk in the room, that everybody's looking at you and they want to know what you do just because of how you are presenting yourself? Like, go from that angle. Like, can help spiff up your wardrobe so that people will notice you on the spot and will want to hear about what you're doing because of how you're showing up.
Yeah.
You have a signature item, or because you have something, it's like, even if they're in politics, I had a client who her specialty was dressing politicians, actually. And she was helping them do a wardrobe change, because then when they wanted to go into politics, she had to help them step it up, right? No matter what they were doing. And so there's a way in which you could, like with her, she was able to help them, okay, if you want to now present yourself as a leader and an influencer, there's a certain way that you have to show up in the room.
Totally.
So that people already see that, like you got to be that. And so, and that way you can kind of present people in a strategy, even in network, instead of saying, oh, I love what you're wearing, and what's your business like? Once you hear more about what it is they do, you can give them little tips. Like one of the things that could be really great is texture. When people wear different textures, like if you're wearing all black, my tip would be, okay, wear, velvet on the top, wear leather pants, wear different textures if you're wearing the same color, because then it makes colors pop. It makes, even though it's the same color, it shows up differently. Like you can give them cool little tips.
Yeah.
How to step up their wardrobe, even though they look great, I know how to make it even pop more.
Yes.
You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah,
So that way
absolutely.
it's not totally offensive. You know, or even like you could, I mean, there's so many ways. I'm thinking of so many ways in which you could really go into an event and really like read people. Like you could create kind of a gimmick in your marketing to where you can, I can, if you give me 5 minutes and tell me a little bit about what you do, and I can look at the way you're dressed, I can tell you how you can step that up. You know,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
create some sort of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Give me a picture of what you do and tell, and based on how you're showing up today, I can give you one tip that will transform how you're showing up in the world by your outfits.
Yeah. I thought, well, it's kind of hard for me, and I sort of gave up. It's now that I'm starting again to think, well, let me do something before I get too old,
Yeah,
because I'm getting up there, and thinking, okay, maybe I'll give it another try. And
yeah,
I'm sort
absolutely.
of in the middle. I still don't know if I'm gonna leave and go to Israel with my daughter. I'm still like, I love hearing to you though, and the coaches I love learning. That's my
Yeah,
passion, to learn. And but I really thought, okay, maybe what I'll do is I'll offer um, workshops,
yeah,
offer workshops so people get to know me better. And it got to be a bit like when I went to events and stuff. Oh yeah, I could tell you're a fashion person or
yeah,
fashion, and I would look at them and I would think she looks great too. I mean,
yeah.
she, you would meet fabulous women, but oh no, never, never. You look fabulous. And here I am with a little black dress from 10 years ago, and
Yeah,
just knowing to put it together, like you said,
like
and
accessorizing it.
accessorizing, which is my passion, accessories. So anyway, so I'm still in that middle zone. I'm still thinking. So that's
Yeah.
why, yeah, I
So
said, let
there's,
me go back to your call, because you talk about something that I used to do and then I don't do anymore. Yeah,
yeah, well, and what's cool about what you do, and I'm going to get to you, Shawn, in a minute too.
yeah, yeah.
What's cool about what you can do too is because it's like there's always an opportunity to network, right? No matter where you are, wherever you go. And because everybody has to dress and show up, like you, there's so many things that you could do to be able to draw in more interest. And especially like if you had like 5 tips for people, and then constantly always thought those 5 tips to share, and really interesting ones. Like I interviewed a designer, a fashion designer who she was basically a stylist.
Yeah.
She gave us like 5 keys to how you can basically upgrade your wardrobe on a budget. And
Mhm.
she gave me the texture idea. Like, okay, even if you're wearing all the same color, mix and match the textures,
That's right.
wear leather, wear velvet, wear cotton, like change it all up and then wear a belt that's, make it different. She had 5 things and I can't remember what they all were, but you could always kind of keep those in the back of your head and you can share them with people. And then of course, when you get your website, one of your free gifts can be, you got to check out my 10 tips to upgrading a wardrobe on a budget. And then that'll get people to start to listen and to be engaged. And then you can start to remember those 10 tips and then share with the people that you're meeting. I mean, even
That's
like,
wonderful.
I
Yeah.
have a girlfriend who is a VP of a bank in Hawaii. And she, bankers, they all wear the suits. I mean, it's just, it's traditional what they wear. But she had this purse that was like completely unique. It was sparkly. It had texture. She paid a lot of money. It was a designer purse, but it was
Mhm.
completely not a banker's purse.
I
And
love.
she said she always carried that piece because a stylist told her, you put something in your suit. Like you got to put something, whether it's a scarf or something that's memorable so that people can kind of feel and get a little experience of your personality. Because even though you could be wearing the same black suit, you got to make yours so that it stands out, so that it becomes a, a topic. Especially with Minnie, with your business of design, there's a lot of people out there, especially entrepreneurs that want to speak. Because a big part of making business too is speaking. That's a whole nother topic. That'll be another topic for another month. It's like one of the things that when people get out there and speak, you got to put something amazing
Oh,
on, whether it's your shoes, something has got to be, that's got to stand out, that's got to be out of this world so that people will notice that because that's what's going to make it memorable. And so that was a really great tip that she had gotten. And she always wore this purse. And I have to tell you, everybody always remembered her because she was that baker with this cool artsy purse.
Oh, how great. I love that
So
so.
it's
Yeah,
just things that there's so many ways in which you can create. I'm calling them gimmicks. That's not the right word because it's more than a gimmick. It's a real truth about how if you want to be memorable and stand out, and
yes.
that's how you'll get the business. Because if we all look the same, people are going to go to the one that's more interesting. So you got to keep it interesting, and clothing is a way that people can make it interesting without being boring, especially even if they're in a 9 to 5.
Totally.
So there's a
Yeah.
lot of things you can do. So I have some more ideas for you. So you got to call so I can share them with you.
Okay.
And then I know Shawana, you were talking about you host cigar networking groups monthly, and so you socialize. Okay, and so but it's been a few more. So tell me a little bit. Are you able to speak, or is the volume off? Do you need me to take your? Let me see. Okay, if I can. Oh, you're at work though. Okay. Okay, so maybe you're not able to talk. Are you able to talk? Let me see. If I take it off, I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions. Okay. Okay, so I'm running. So let's try. Maybe I won't unmute you. Okay, if I mute you, you can. I know you can hear me, but you can't talk back. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Okay, so I'll keep you muted since you can't really talk. So one of the things you want to think about, so for you, so I'm trying to understand what the problem is. So you have a cigar networking. So obviously with your clientele, there's a particular type of person that likes cigars, right? So it's not for everybody, so it's very niched, but there's a certain type of person. And so you create these socializing events for people, or are you doing it for you so that you can sell the cigars, or is it a little bit of both? Like there are ones that you host, or are there ones that you're preparing for other people that are hosting that you can come? Oh, let me unmute you. See if you can talk and see if I can hear you. Try talking now. Okay, it's I don't hear you. So even though I unmuted your line. Okay. Okay, you said you're going to dial. And you can actually dial in on the call it should give you, when you're in the thing, it should give you a number that you can dial in on. Let me know if it's not working. But depending upon whether you're the one that's hosting with the intention of selling cigars, it would be different than, let's say, you're being hired to host like a socializing or a gathering for another person or for a company. And so there's a lot of, there's a lot of questions I have to kind of look at ways in which you can continue networking, because what you do, there's a way in which you can present it, and there's like a specific type of person.
I'm here now.
Oh, you're here. Okay, Shawana. So tell me a little bit about your networking thing.
Mixer. It's a business mixer. It's not for selling of cigars. It is just cigars as a premise, because a lot of business people do smoke cigars.
Right.
And the guy who created it, John Dade, that's just what he used as other than just getting together for business. So business and cigars.
Okay, so and then is there anything that you're selling in particular when you're hosting these mixers?
No, we don't sell anything. We get together. No, we don't sell anything.
Okay, so the intention is to get everybody together so that they can network, and so that
Exactly.
you can network, so that people just can make connections and then potentially find buyers just from the socializing.
Exactly.
Okay, now is there a theme? Like are these for singles? Are they for entrepreneurs? Like I'm wondering if there's a sort of theme, because maybe theming these events might kind of help.
No, there is not. The theme is cigars, and cigars in business. So it's not even, non-cigar smokers come as well.
Right.
It's just business networking cigars. We have done a white party. It's not for singles, and the premise is already created, so I can't go restructuring it. It's not my brainchild. But it's working. It actually really works.
Okay. And then what is the problem? I mean, or what would you like to enhance, or what would you like to solve as far as in
Nothing. You asked the question, you know, if we had been to networking groups,
okay, got it.
you know, participated. Right. And so I was responding to that. One thing I have noticed about ours, which you were mentioning earlier in your conversation, is essentially the no pressure, not the pitchy kind of thing. And
Yeah.
people comment on ours that it's not like that. We have a lot of
That's
people who
great.
come back regularly, you know, because it's just very social. You get to know people, it's relaxed, but we also do make business connections. So,
Right.
but it's a very, you know, it's just like you're at someone's house and you're having a dinner party and you guys are just having conversations, but then you find out you have these things in common. That's kind of that feel. And I have been to a few recently, one in particular, and I knew a few of the people there, and I had met previously quite a few of the people there, but it was still very cliquish and not, you know, like if we don't know you, we're really not trying to get to know you, you know,
Right.
so it was odd.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's how they can be, especially the ones that are like an annual membership and they meet regularly. And usually those are set up. The ones that I found it to be cliquish are the ones that are. It's like a big group. Like it's an annual membership. They come together and they're not always trying to really sell each other, but somebody's usually training. Like whoever's hosting
Right,
is the one that's making money. You know what I'm saying? And,
right,
but they're also
right,
providing value. That's why the people are coming.
right.
And it's yeah, so in those events it's kind of the same thing. Some of these strategies is being able just to, because you got to be bold. I mean, the networking things, they're so uncomfortable. I mean, it's like, especially if you don't know each other, when I go to a networking event, I have to like ramp it up for myself, like, okay, I got to be social. If I'm not in the social mood,
Right,
generate it
right.
or stay home, because if I'm because sometimes I'm an extrovert and sometimes I just want to be quiet, chill, and just observe. Like I don't want to be out there. And so in these events, you got to know what to do to generate that energy and the boldness where you can just come and say, hi, I'm so-and-so. I think in the event I met you, I didn't know anybody except for the one that brought me. And I was just going around introducing myself to people. Hi.
Right,
So,
right,
you know, and then ended up meeting my cousin, but it's
right.
but it wouldn't have happened if I didn't just approach people as opposed to sitting there. And it is uncomfortable, but being
It
able
is.
to
It's
take
very
that,
uncomfortable.
hear what people are about. And then it's like, especially a lot of us are in a value kind of based business. It's really come from the perspective of how can I serve versus
Mhm.
pick me, buy me, I have services you can have. I find that I make better connections that turn into potential clients or leads to clients more so than
Right.
get in that game of like, okay, how many people can I pitch? How many cards? Because then you get the cards. You're like, no, you know, you got all the cards. You don't know what to do with it. So it's about
Yeah.
being bold and being willing to pick up the phone and call people and say, hey, I want to share what I'm about in case you're interested or in case you know somebody that is. And then being able to return that favor. So cool. It sounds very interesting. And you have to tell me what the
It
next,
is interesting.
yeah.
I will send you an email. We'll do it monthly, so every third Wednesday. So we just had one last week at the Intercontinental in Century City. I don't have a date yet. I mean, a location for next month, but I'll let you know.
Okay, perfect. And that's fun because it's a fun way to get out there and just meet people and get ideas too.
Indeed.
And it's important, you know, and the reason why I talk about strategic networking is to go above and beyond. It's like the whole intention is so that you feel like your time was valuable, that you were able to get, and for those of us that are trying to make money, that you're able to get some potential valuable leads. And so being able to have both ends. All right, cool. So any questions from either of you in regards to all the information I provided you in the material that I gave you?
It was great. Thank you so much, Phyllis.
You're welcome. Thank you, Vinny.
Yeah, I don't have any questions either
Okay, awesome.
at this point.
Perfect. So if either of you have nothing else, this is it. So this is the essential elements to strategic networking. And so I've given you lots of different ways, lots of tips, lots of some strategies and do's and don'ts, and to be able to maximize your experience. But both of you have things. And Shawana, what is your business? Is the networking event your business, or it's just a different a component of it?
No, it is No, not either, actually, other than the networking aspect. My business, I have a line of cigar accessories for women.
Mhm.
I teach cigar 101. I have an interactive cigar experience, which is a fun thing to do at events. It's a hands-on participation thing
Yeah.
for people who probably have never even touched tobacco. Cigars. I roll cigars. I do cigars.
Yeah.
Cigar stuff, cigar-related things.
That's cool. And that's really interesting. So when you're out there at events, I'm sure you get a lot of people wanting to hear more because it's so interesting.
Excuse me.
And,
You're right. And one thing you said today that I really need to do is the CRM, because my passion really comes across in talking to people. I was at an event, Black Businesswomen Rock. I don't know if you were there a couple of weeks ago,
no,
but so I was talking to people there, and while I wanted to hear seminars, I just ended up talking to people myself who are super interested, but
Yeah.
I didn't make notes on the back of the cards.
yeah,
And I thought about it after the fact, but I have to keep in touch because you're absolutely right. It's super interesting. And then for me, as a woman doing all of this, it's more intriguing to people.
it is. So you already have, like, both of you have interesting businesses that people want to hear more about. And then what's cool
Yeah.
about what you provide, and actually, Minnie, you could do something similar, is like reminding. So when you have the CRM, you stay in contact with people. It's a reminder of, like, you can go in and do like if they're having an event for their staff or their employees, or like you can come in there and provide, a cool experience for them. It's
Right.
about,
Absolutely.
so because you're bringing in classes and different kind of things, and Minnie, you could even do the same. It's like, I can help come in, and if you want to up level the community, like I've yet to see a fashion designer come in and speak to a company, and ways in which how you can step up your attire at the office, ways in which you can, when you're going to client meetings, how you can really come professional and yet connect with people from a unique style.
I think a lot of people need that too. Certainly if they're just kind of nerdy by nature, don't have a particular, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Which a lot of executives and, high professionals are.
Especially people don't know how to pull it off. Like I told you about the banker. I mean, it was perfect because she still had her suit. She still looked professional. She looked like a total banker, but the purse was just so much fun. But it didn't look unprofessional. Or if she added a scarf, I've seen somebody tie a scarf to their purse. Like there's different things that you can do, just an accessory.
Yes.
It's just so cool. So there's even little tips and trainings that you could even provide out there.
Yeah, that's my specialty. Accessories. I adore them.
Yeah. That's great. So it's like there's something there, and that can be kind of part of your niche, or the part that kind of makes you stand out from other stylists.
And Shawana has a great business. I wish we could do something together, but I'm in Austin, so.
I know. Well, you could come
in. Do you
and
smoke cigars?
No, but I could try.
You could indeed, because in Texas has a pretty, more around the Dallas area though. I don't know about near Austin. They have a pretty big cigar culture out there.
Really?
So like if you just Googled in Austin, near Austin, cigar lounges, see what pops up. I wrote a book, 101 Etiquette and Manners of the Cigar Lifestyle, which is geared to women, and it is a basic premise. The purpose of it is to give women, particularly, the information is general, but I focus on women, give women the basic tools to be able to walk into any cigar environment and feel comfortable. And it's a small booklet, and it really does that. Everyone tells me it's a really good book, and that's the whole point.
Where do you sell it?
It's on Amazon and on my website.
Oh, yeah. I'll check your website out. You're really a cool lady.
Thank you.
Just like Phyllis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know.
What is your website again, Shawana?
It's aficionada, like cigar aficionado. It's aficionada with an A.
Are you able to type it into the chat box, and then maybe, Minnie, are you able to see the chat box?
Oh, yes, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
that
can
way
do that.
you're able to, it might be easier to capture.
Okay. I didn't realize everyone could see the chat box. That's a good idea.
You definitely can if you click on it though.
Say that again.
Great. Yeah, if Minnie, if you click on the chat,
Yeah, I'm on the chat now.
perfect.
Okay, there it is.
So now that's, oh, and it has the word style, my favorite.
There you go.
You know, I wanted,
Perfect. I'm glad we could make a connection here.
yeah, I wanted to call,
Yeah.
it's funny, I wanted to call my business style mindset, because there's so many women
Mhm.
who don't think
Yeah.
they can wear that or be that, or, and, you know, by just working on their style, the whole mindset could change. And it's just, there's so much out there. I love it, you know?
You really could. I mean, you could totally take it past style and into coaching because it is a mindset.
Yeah.
Yes,
Show up as everything, you know, and then you can, so, like start transformation from the outside in. Like you can go like
Yes.
show up, act as if, and
Mhm.
become. So when you start to dress like a leader and an influencer, people will treat you as such. So it's got to start, and that'll help shift your mindset. So there's so many things you can do because styling is coaching. There's a lot of coaching in that.
Are you gonna, you
Do
said
you have a
replay, but I think there were problems with the Zoom, because usually there's more people. Are you
I
gonna,
know there might be because I was on the wrong thing.
are
So
you gonna put it out, the recording?
yeah, I'm going to
Good,
put the
'cause
recording
I
out.
like, I'm gonna go back and listen. I like
Yeah,
it.
I will put the recording out. And yeah, because yeah, usually there is more people on these calls. So I think something might have happened because I was on my, two different Zoom rooms popped up for me. And
Okay.
I switched over to the other one. So I don't know. I'll know when I hang up if other people try to get on.
Perfect.
Yeah, but definitely you'll have this. I'll send a recording out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send, I just put up my meeting with Phyllis. If either of you want to chat about ways in which you can, and we talk a little bit about some different ways in which you can enhance your business or see where there's money missing.
Okay.
And then it's
all right.
kind of take your businesses apart, both of you, to see kind of where there's opportunities to make money, you know, and ways in which you can just, all I find is just little tweaks, especially when people have been in business, there's just little tweaks here and there to kind of match your ideal clients that can really make a world of a difference.